Get a call from the social. What are you doing? Motion to come out of executive session.
Second?
Second.
Second. Okay.
All in favor?
Do we have to do that on the motion, Mark? All right. Everybody. Okay, consent agenda.
Motion approved.
Second.
Wait a minute, I'm sorry. You guys got to stay down.
Keep up. I want to go home.
All right, David on the motion to come out, Ellen on the second.
I got,
Play it next
Everybody.
month.
On the consent agenda is tricky. David made the motion, Ellen's the second. Discussion. You have discussion.
No.
Favor?
I got.
Favor? Are you in favor of consent? Okay. Opposed, seeing none. Okay, comments for the good of the order. Paul? Andrew?
My only comment is, when students are expelled or kids are arrested, I was wondering if the administration could, that's how we used to do it under O'Brien when certain students got into serious trouble. She would always send out an email. Just wondering if that would be something the board would like to proceed so as to know what type of...
If a student is arrested, that becomes a confidentiality matter.
I mean, it makes the newspaper that...
Let it make the newspaper, but it doesn't come from...
Well, we're not talking about getting the kid's name, we're just talking that he had...
An incident.
You want an incident update?
Oh,
But what happened?
Well, no, we can't. That's the other, this is the tricky part. If we have any knowledge about an incident, it prejudices us as a hearing panel at the time of the expulsion hearing. We actually stopped doing that notice of incident because it could prejudice us as a board. Which is true.
I understand, yeah.
You know, if you know that someone came to school with a knife, and you know everything about it going into the hearing, and then there's little Susie, you've already made your mind up going into the, no, not you, sorry, Danielle first. She's the most likely.
That makes more sense.
No, but that's why we stopped that.
you know.
Because we shouldn't have been getting those notices to start with.
It's just kind of nice for the board to actually know a little bit more detail than just, we had 5 expulsions, or we had 3 out of school.
You're welcome to
Just a
attend
little-
any
No,
expulsion.
but I mean, just...
But we can't talk about it.
Not saying...
I mean, we couldn't, I don't think we could talk about it. It would have to be in an executive session, but it's a tricky,
Well, we're not...
You have to go into the expulsion hearing,
you have to be part of the hearing in order to hear the hearing.
the details.
Yes.
And I can't give them to you beforehand, because then...
That would prejudice us.
Yeah.
And we have to be careful about what could become FOI, right?
Emails especially.
Yes.
Emails would be a problem.
Okay.
And
Sure.
just to add, we get notices of students who are put into juvenile detention. All I receive is the name. I do not know why they were put there, because we don't always get the arrest information from the police.
And just to sum up, I mean, it's just kind of important for the board, as we try to deal with situations, policies, budget, allocation of resources, you know, unless you actually know what these kids are actually doing, more in a specific area, I don't really know how, as the board, you really make your evaluations of where you want resources to be going. And I understand your aspect.
No, it's just simply because of the personal, because of the confidential nature of the hearing, I would ask anyone who wants to, I think every board member should participate in the process of an expulsion hearing. That's the hardest thing. I think that is the hardest part about being a board, is sitting through those hearings, because it hits you, I think, emotionally, and it really makes you think about what it is that we do.
And a lot of things that happen where a child, is brought to juvenile detention, it happened outside of school, and so it necessarily will not impact when the student returns to school. So that's another component that we have to look at. It's only when it becomes a disruption to instruction or could harm other children, then do we take action for suspension and expulsion.
Okay, thank you.
And the other thing is, if a child who's identified with a special need, before you can go to, you can suspend, but you can't expel until you've done a manifestation that was his or her behavior a result of their special need. And it gets,
Sure,
it
you're killing me.
gets.
You're killing me.
No.
He said
No,
that
there
before.
was, okay.
John, do you have anything for comments?
Absolutely not. Thank you.
Fiona?
Quick,
Okay.
just commend the administration on the online learning. I think it's great that so many kids are going to actually possibly graduate because of it, so thank you to all of you. And secondly, just, I think everybody got emails today about the Italian trip, so I just want to make sure.
Yeah, it's interesting.
You didn't? No. Okay, well, I got 4 emails about the Italian trip. So I just want to make sure, Washington trip is great, but I want to make sure we're giving all the trips equal rights.
In the one email that I did get regarding the topic of it, the Washington DC trip was picked as a litmus test because there was it was brought up at a budget hearing. So at that time, Mr. Lafreniere was asked to come in and explain the educational value of his trip. And then he just took it to another level is the only reason that he was back. You know, he was invited the first time because we picked a guinea pig to explain how the process of the educational value was.
No, and I guess my point is because there's several parents that probably have students going on this Italian trip, I'm assuming.
Yes.
But I wasn't aware that we were going to be approving the Washington trip tonight before we're approving all the other out-of-state and country field trips, so.
Their concern of it being preferentially treated was, I answered in an email this morning
Okay.
to one parent that called me, but they didn't mention the specific
Right,
trip.
now it's kind
they
of
just
spreading
thought it was-
around that they can't get approval, but that one can. So just so everyone's on the page and that we be conscious of that when,
Okay.
you know, giving people priority. Because if they had the same issue of wanting to book with a certain company, they would have the right also to come forward and ask for us to review it early, right?
They would have the right to come forward with teacher continuing education credits, high school credit for the students. If they can pull that together in a trip package, bring it in. I mean, that proposal there wrapped everything that we've ever asked of a field trip in one nice, neat little package with an online learning component to go with it. I mean,
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
he has to learn.
and better
how to answer-
transportation.
Yeah, and he has to learn
They
how to
can get
answer his
home less
questions.
time.
It fell in my lap, you know. I spent hours.
But if that's brought to you and someone wants an exception, it comes to us, right? So that, I think that's just, I want just that on the record so they don't think we're giving preferential treatment.
Okay?
Just a reminder that tomorrow is the National Honor Society induction ceremony here, Little Theater, 7 o'clock, right?
Oh, no. No way.
We don't have an audience, but just for Joanne's benefit and the invisible man, there was concern that the agenda doesn't get posted. If you go onto the Torrington Public School website and you click on this meeting, and below it, there's a tab that says Agenda, and you click on that tab, the agenda is there. But I got several complaints today that it's not posted. It is posted. If you just follow the arrows, you go right to it. Yes. Okay.
And what was your preference to hold the meeting, in the library or in the Little Theater? Because we moved tonight because of the play, but we can go back to the Little Theater next month.
I hate the Little Theater.
Me too.
Ken?
I like it.
From a recording standpoint, it doesn't matter. from recording it. It's fine here.
Tonight, we tried something a little bit different, and you weren't here when I made the announcement, so nobody minds me speaking. All of the mics were live tonight, and Joanne, you could hear fine out there. I talked to Jerry and I stopped up here just to see what we could do, just in case, because I know that really bothered you that they were not being used for recording. So what we did was we set them up through this isn't recording, but we're using this as a mixer. And then we took that speaker there and plugged it in. So we will have speaker here. And the other concern was, and Joanne talked to me about this, if we were to continue in the little theater, we have students that have to come back at night specifically to set up the portable pieces for us. So I don't know how long we could ask them to keep coming for us without. So that's what. But I just wanted you to know because you weren't here yet.
Okay. John, do you have a preference?
I like it here.
Fiona?
Here.
Barbados would be better.
I don't care, but relative on work comments, just anyway, school improvement committee, the first thing on our agenda is going to be looking at going public with this and getting back on cable, since this school system is wired for cable, and they're anxious to get us back on. Cable Vision's anxious to get us back on. So we're going to talk about that school improvement, and if we do that, I think the hookup is here, so. This will make
It's
more
actually
sense.
both. It's at
Yeah, is
both.
it both? Is it?
Well, because they do the St. Jude's telethon from the little theater, that's all
Okay,
wired.
okay. I don't.
It actually goes from there with a feed to here. This feeds back. Andrew, do you
I
have
like
a
it here, I think it's more.
It's picking up us right now.
I'm going with Barbados, but
I was gonna say Barbados.
it's 7-2 here, we'll keep them here.
Plus, it looks like we have more people.
All right, committee reports, personnel committee. Dan's not here. Policy committee.
Oh, we're,
Proceeding along.
yeah,
Anything special?
everything. We're still doing gap analysis and we still have those young people with the electronic devices and attendance policy. We're pretty busy.
Did you want to do food services? Is that going to be the next one, or what is that?
Wellness.
Is that on the radar?
It's on
Wellness,
the radar.
wellness.
I'm gonna meet with them first.
Okay.
School improvement?
Yeah, like I said, public, public access to the meetings and more. We're also looking at, administration's gonna make a presentation on budget drivers. What do we learn from this year, and what can we expect next year, and what does that mean for our approach to how we're doing things? You know, well, what are the key budget drivers, and what is there anything that the city or state that we can, are some of these beyond the scope of the Board of Education? What do we do about it? I mean, obviously, I think that level of discussion needs to be had. We'll do school improvement first, things everybody can make it. And hopefully that'll inform next year, because everybody knows where we were this year with the budget. And next year, the same drivers are gonna be there. And then where do we go?
It's going to be worse next year.
Yeah,
This
so
was
are there things that we can, that maybe are affecting us beyond the scope of the Board of Education, that we can lean on city council, lean on the mayor, lean on other departments within the city for some help and understanding? So that's where that's going. And every meeting we have small learning communities, we have an update on that as well, which is basically a long-term curriculum review. That's it, Ken.
Right, budget, it says no report, you can't report. Grievance, it says no report, we already did that. Items for upcoming agendas? Anyone have anything?
Do we have to approve the tech plan at some point, or revisit the tech plan? We haven't gotten the comments back from Education Connection yet.
Oh, yeah, the field trip too.
Yeah, field trips.
The field trip that we asked this.
The field trips will come back?
All
Well,
field trips are gonna come in.
As far as, yeah, that'll be all of them, right?
Yeah,
As far as the tech plan, we're not gonna set the agenda till the Wednesday before, so. If you get the comments back before that, we can add it in, if not,
I think final budget, once we go to.
You will have,
we'll have final
Final
budget by
budget.
then.
so you might want to have a placeholder for that, should we need a placeholder for that. So,
Okay. Upcoming meetings, policy, May 2nd, school improvement, May 2nd, budget, May 9th, personnel, May 9th. Adjournment,
motion to adjourn.
second.
All those in
All
favor?
those in favor?
As we're getting clean,
All those opposed, abstentions?
I want to stay.
Are we still on?